Hello, this is day 11 of the motorhome rebuild and reconstruction, and we're going to start off here to show you what we did yesterday. Now you may have noticed what we did with the bed, for example, yesterday. Now we had problems with black mold before, and this probably is due to the difference in temperature between the garage and the bedroom upstairs. And normally black mold is formed with condensation. It could also be by a failure of air to circulate as well, and somebody even wrote and told me that they'd resolved this problem by putting in an old computer fan. Anyway, so what we've done here with the bed is being in the garage just to show you what we've done. So you may have noticed, so that we have the slats, then you have the protective layer under that. Now what we've added is 2 layers of insulation. So normal this insulating layer with the yellow stuff, polystyrene sort of stuff, and then under that we put another layer which is a aluminium and foam layer. Then we place these heating pads, and then we've got this foil which is on top of the heating foil itself. Now normally you'd probably then put another layer, this sort of, it's a bit like cardboard, thick cardboard that you put over the top, which you put on the wall and there, for example, inside. But I'm going to leave that for the moment because I know people are going to ask me. So whilst people are asking me about this, I'm going to leave this just to show them what it looks like, and maybe in a few weeks time then we'll put another layer on, and so that will be hidden to the world. Now that will heat the garage up, and hopefully it'll keep the temperature roughly the same. Now I know in many films I've done in the past I have criticised manufacturers for having garage heating. Well, as you can see, I've sort of changed my mind on this one. Having said that, we've still got blown air heating, and we've still got the pipes are in here, which in fact yesterday somebody asked me if they could have my pipes, so I suspect you'll be getting them now. Pipes which are up here will be coming out, and then we're just using this. But there's a slight difference as well which I would like to talk about, but once we get inside I'll do that. Down here we've got this little area here to keep things in, so tools or something like that, which is under what was the boiler, and I'll show you what it is right now. Now we have advanced quite a lot with the work, and I'll show you a couple of things. You may have saw that earlier, but now there's a new water inlet point here, and this may become a gas inlet point, but I'm not even certain we're going to stick with the gas yet. We may even change our mind on that one. So we've got that there's brand new, or the hole's brand new, the opening isn't. Now if you come in here, we've started to replace things, but we started to replace things slightly differently to what we'd have done otherwise, because next week I'm going to be in Dusseldorf and we're not going to finish, so that means that none of the furniture is going to be in here, and as a temporary measure we've put this table back in, so I've got somewhere to sit down. This chair won't be here, it'll be a different one, but at least I'll be able to show people what is actually happening with the heating system in the van. So we'll probably even leave the foil which is under the floorboard so people can see it. Now before the water tank stood here, we were going to put it back here. In fact, you can even see the inlet which we drilled out specially, but then we changed our mind. We thought that's not a good idea because of the way it sticks out here. So we searched and searched, and we decided to put the water inlet in this position down here. So the water inlet's there, sorry, and the water tank is here. Now one of the things is occurred to me, but that I'm sitting on one side of the van, and I've always had the water on the same side as me, so that sort of changed the centre of gravity. If the water tank is full plus me, that's getting on for 200 kilos of weight on one side of the vehicle. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit on that front, but anyway, that now it's going to be sort of more based like that. But I've noticed that just about every vehicle that I've seen had the water on the left. We've now got the boiler up here. Look at that. What's that tell you? It's a 230 volt boiler. I've forgotten the wattage of it now. It's anyway, I'll tell you that next time. It's gone. This here will give me hot water. It's an Ariston boiler, 10 litres. I'll probably keep it as low as I can do, so I'm going to turn the tap on, it's not too hot. But if there were more than one person in the van, then you'd want to heat it up further in order to mix it with cold water so that the hot water goes further. Other changes which happened yesterday, we've got the water pump has gone down there, and we've got the charger which is going in there. Now, as far as the water pump is concerned, I couldn't really understand why, when this was built, you may have noticed in earlier films, we had this long pipe going over here. In fact, it had been hung up down there to get it out of the way. But we had the water pump was under this table, and it just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. What is the point of that? There may have been some point. Somebody may know the point, but I don't. Anyway, so then yesterday we wanted to get some new piping, and couldn't find it. And we decided to replace the piping. It probably wasn't really all that necessary to replace the piping. There wasn't really any damage as such done to it, other than chopping it up to get it out the way, and particularly as we need much less of it now. But I cleaned out this tank, and what happens is you get all the sediment. You're taking water from wells and things like this. When I say a well, I mean it's a proper fountain which is used for drinking water, but I'm taking water from places like that, and it did form a sediment, particularly stuff I was getting from Warsaw, for example, and in there it took me quite a long time to clean it. Well, the pipes, I can't clean them, and so we thought, oh well, why not we just replace them all while we're doing it. It was rather hard to get this piping. We went to two shops, Castellam and Leroy Merlin, and couldn't find it either. They're suitable because it's reinforced. Then we got it from a local shop here in the village. So that was quite fortunate, because I thought that we weren't going to complete the water. And I do want to show people how the water supply is working. And there's another little thing. If you want to come through here into the shower, we've got an electric radiator has now been put up in the shower. So that's another 284 watts it's going to require. Of course, it's on 230 volts like everything else. How is this all going to work with just two leisure batteries? I mean, that is the big question, isn't it? And another thing we picked up this morning at the village shop, one of these for a new inlet leading from outside into the tank, which we've got down here. I'm very pleased to find that location for the tank, because it's I've got my hanging space above it, and below it I'm going to have a little sort of a cubby hole sort of thing, and I've got access from the garage, tools, something like that. So I think that's turned out really well. But one thing what we might do in future is this: if we build things for people, we will actually manufacture these tanks ourselves, because that way we can shape them according to requirements. And I thought that there just wasn't enough time with Dusseldorf coming up and all the rest of it. But had I thought of this before, that we can just do it ourselves, then probably would have done it and shaped it accordingly. But having said that, I think that works out quite well. Now, there is another idea which we're going to do. We haven't got this stuff yet, but we're going to buy it. And right down here, in this corner, down here, we are going now. We're really going to go over top on this. Now, it's been roasting here. It's been very hot. It was 35 degrees, but the entire week's been over 30 degrees. And okay, this doesn't happen all that often. I mean, you might have 1 month in the year, but it's nice to have a bit of air conditioning going on. Particularly, I found myself in southern Italy. That would be rather pleasant. So what we're thinking now of doing here is putting in a heat pump. Now, this video's gone quite a long time, so I won't explain what a heat pump is, but I'll do that in the future sometime. But we'll have a heat pump here, and which will also be an air conditioner. So it'll have the two functions at once, and the heat pump will knock out, I think it's 3.5 kilowatts of heat energy. It takes in, I think it's 900 watts of energy. And anyway, so that's what we're going to put here. We haven't bought it yet, but we're going to do that. Now, I think we'd better get on with what we have to do today. So we've got the water tank here, and we had problems with the water tank as there was a leak. And the reason why there was a leak was because this unit here was attached to the tank and it wasn't watertight. Water got through it. So what we're now going to do is we're going to fit this one on here, and then we're going to make an absolutely watertight seal around the bottom down here. So that will stop the water getting out. That will be attached to that as you'd expect, and then this one here, and that leads to the water inlet from the outside. At the same time, I'd like to point out what we've got down here, which is the air outlet. Now if you fill the tank up with water, the air is going to have to go somewhere, so the air escapes through there, and that is then attached to another hose which will then expel the water from a point which is near the water inlet, so that the water has somewhere to go when the tank is absolutely full. Now for us wild campers, we profit from getting fresh water whenever we can, and we make the most of it. For people going from one campsite to another, then basically you don't need it. You just need a little bit of water in there to wash your hands and face when you sort of feel like it. But anyway, some advice there for the full-time or wild campers amongst us. Of course, it is just common sense, but there are times when we forget common sense. And in my case earlier, I didn't realise that I had a leak from there because of the layout of the van, which I've already explained. So we've got a new water inlet hose there, and this is the expulsion hose, which is attached to the part of the water tank which deals with letting out air. And once the water tank is completely full, the water should come out through there and be thrown outside the car. So you know that when the tank is full, it's coming out at both ends, the white one and the grey one. Now we've got this idea to put some diodes on the outside of the van, which will show how much water is actually in the tank. Now, to the best of my knowledge, no one's done this so far, although it seems such an obvious idea. I've got to ask myself the reason why. I don't know what the reason why is. Maybe someone else knows what the reason why is. Anyway, we may do that, we may not, but we've got that as part of our plan. There you have the finished result. You've got the new inlet here and the outlet pipe there. So we've got this radiator which is going to go into the wet room, and normally if at home you've got a radiator like this, it's connected to the central heating system, and we don't have a water heating system in the van. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill it up with antifreeze for vehicle. So you can see it goes down to -35. We're going to fill it up under pressure, and then hopefully it will work.